look, and I don't know the time schedules. Steve Davis Show. Special guest today is Sal Gonzales, and thank you for coming on.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, we have technical difficulties anytime we have, so we're getting these things worked out, and I can hear you. And it's great. Great. Congratulations for coming to being the new athletic director at Rio Rancho.
Well, I'm excited about being a new athletic director, and I'm looking forward to spreading the word about our athletic program, and thanks for having me again.
I'll tell you, what a road you had to, a blessed life to get this job. Let's go back in time and kind of talk about where you were born and people that influenced you to get to where you are now.
Well, I'm from Pecos, New Mexico, and that's where I went to high school. And that's where I got my first teaching and coaching job. I also
that was in 1999. Yes.
Yeah. So, but I was like I said, that's my hometown, and I didn't go too far to college. I went to New Mexico Highlands University, and I got to take over for my head coach, Ron Valdez, and he retired, so I could take the job, and in 2008. I was given an opportunity to coach at Rio Rancho High School. I'm very thankful to Bruce Carver for that. Not a lot of small school guys get a chance to come up to a big school. And
well, you proved him right because you won 4 state champions, and you've been. I think I shouldn't say this, but you were 12 runner-ups or something like that. So 14 runner-ups.
Yeah.
So every year you've contended and been right there.
Yeah, in both Pecos and at Rio Rancho, we've had a lot of success, and a lot of that success has to do with the athletes that we had and the coaching staff that we've had. And in both places, I was able to establish the right culture and build some good success because of that. And so, a lot of things have to come together to win some state titles and even some state trophies.
We've been debating. There's either 3 or 4 athletic directors. You're number 3, probably. Official athletic director at Rio Rancho. And I'll tell you, taking over, I just want Vince Metzger. I mean, you were under him, and how did he treat you? What do you remember about him, and what did he bring to the table taking this job?
Well, the thing is about Vince is that he's just such a professional. He's just one of those guys who does every single thing the way it's supposed to be done. He crosses all the T's, dots all the I's. He's got a lot of integrity. What I've always appreciated about Vince Metzger and working for Vince Metzger is that he was supportive of his coaches, but he made sure that the kids came first. He was always asking us, what are you doing for the kids, for the athletes beyond the field, and I really took that to heart. When I first got to Rio Rancho High School, I was just so overwhelmed as a coach, so many more athletes, just the size of the school, and so I really paid a lot of attention to X's and O's, and Vince always reminded me and all the coaching staff to teach the athletes beyond that, and because you can just be at Rio Rancho High School and just be swimming with things to do because of just within the school, so many tasks, and so he always kept an eye on us or always made us think about community service, think about culture of your athletes, of your team, and think about coaching integrity. And I really appreciated that. I always felt like I had a pretty good handle on training and pretty good handle on my team, and it was always great to have that focus from him.
Well, the thing I learned from him, very humble. For all the things that he's accomplished, all of his coaches and himself has accomplished at Rio Rancho is amazing. You think of all the state championships he won. I think every year you're top 3 or 4 in the state of all student athletes, and also winnings, and they rated. And he would always send those things out, and you would never, when you talked to him, he never would boast about that or do anything. He just was just so humble about what his job was and who he was.
No, I totally agree, and I think that if you're an athletic director, if you're in any type of admin role in Rio Rancho at either school, that your responsibility is not just to your responsibility to the whole city, and so we're very lucky to be able to coach and work there. We're going to get a lot of kids, and I'm obviously biased. I think we're going to get the best kids. We've got smart, driven kids, and Vince understood that that it is a blessing, and it's just that we're lucky a lot of times to be working there.
Well, what a facilities. First of all, you think over the Rio Rancho. Dating myself is 20 years. It's longer than what you would think. It's like 10 years ago that it just came, but it's been there. It's do you remember?
97.
97.
Yeah.
So it's 23 years, 24 years. And it just seemed like yesterday. It was a state of the art. I just remember going out and looking at the facilities and looking at all the things. Very blessed. You guys, the athletes there, are very fortunate.
So we're definitely entering a new phase at Rio Rancho High School, in that we aren't the new kid on the block anymore, because we've been here since '97, and we do have some facilities issues because it's right about that time, right? 20.
You wouldn't think that, but
that's the way it goes. You know what I mean? And so, and I honestly, that is an aspect of my job that is probably that's probably my weak point. Is like I don't have a lot of experience with facilities, and so that's going to be something I'm going to have to learn. But we are lucky that we do have Bruce Carver and Dr. Cleveland and Dr. Kettler, our principal, they know that having facilities that are going to be seen by most of the state of New Mexico, that they need to be kept in top-notch shape. And so it is a priority. It is a priority that our buildings are taken care of, and that, I mean, you see our, when you walk in, and we have a great football stadium, we have a great gymnasium, we have a great baseball field, and we're given the money to keep them up, which is nice.
Well, Sal, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and talk more about yourself, and talk about Rio Rancho, things that are coming up here in the next 2 weeks. It's pretty exciting time.
Oh, yeah, it is.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. TurboThreads is a proud sponsor of ProView Networks.
Almost 30 years of experience means fast service, great prices, and a wide selection of apparel from t-shirts to performance sports shirts, even jackets and hats. They feature low minimums and no setup charges on most orders. TurboThreads is located at 1503 Golf Course Road in Rio Rancho, or find them on Facebook, online at turbothreads.com, or call 999-1234 for TurboThreads.
For certified collision and body repair, visit the experts at Car Crafters. 5 locations in Albuquerque and Rio Rancho. Visit carcrafters.com.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
These are more than just the sounds of a safe place to go after school. These are the sounds of interest being ignited and of mentors making an impact. At Boys and Girls Clubs, we don't do just one thing. We do whatever it takes to meet the needs of every kid who comes through those doors. Because whatever it takes is what it takes to build great futures. Great futures start here.
Rudy's is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Hey, welcome back to the Steve Davis Show. Sal Gonzales, the Rio Rancho new athletic director. And what, again, has that struck, from your background coming up, you have that, being a small, from a small town, being in Rio Rancho, probably one of the Rio Rancho's top athletic programs in the state.
Well, I mean, I'll be honest, I really never thought I would become, administration or become an athletic director. My goal was always to be the old coach, to retire coaching and coach track and field and coach cross country for a long time. But, during the quarantine, when I started, really having a chance to reflect on what I've done in my career, and I thought, no, it's time to do something different. It's time to venture out and do some different things. And so when Vince Metzger retired, that opportunity presented itself, and I just thought it was a good time to jump on it. I had coached for 22 years. I was excited to do something new, and I got to do what I've always wanted to do, is what, since I was a junior in high school, I just knew since I was a junior in high school that whatever job I had to be in athletics. And so I get to do something different, but I'm still going to be involved with sports. And so yeah, I mean, that, while it is an amazing job, it wasn't always the plan,
I got a question for you. I'm just thinking, you're successful, coach, four state champions and 14 runner-ups.
Five state titles.
Yeah, that's right. You got 4 Rio Rancho,
4 Rio Rancho, 1 Apeco.
That's right. So, excuse me on that. But since what was your thought process? So I know hey, should I put my name in? Okay, usually you put your name in, and then high profile job. And I'm sure a number of people, probably numerous people, applied for the job. What was the waiting time? What were you thinking during the waiting process, and what were you doing to see if you had a chance, or if you were going to be in the top 3? I mean, just kind of walk me through that. I'm just curious from my own.
So, like I said, first of all, just to say, like, I knew that I knew that I was going to be doing something different soon in my life. That was just something that I had already come to grips with. And so when Vince told all of us that he's retiring, because he sent it kind of out in an email, I just felt like,
This is your moment.
This is my chance. This is my chance. And so I kind of immediately sprung into action. I talked to Dr. Kettler. I talked to the other coaches. And that's one of the things I have to say is that we have so many great coaches at Rio Rancho High School that I respect. Hall of Famers and guys who are like in the top 3 of wins in their sport. And I know I had to make sure that was something that they were good with, that I were going to, that this role was going to change. And so, it took a little while because, he retired and it took time for them to open up the job, and it was very stressful.
That was my point. Yeah,
it was very stressful because I know Rio Rancho was small, and I knew I had to talk to people to let them know that I wanted to be athletic director. But at the same time, if it didn't go that way, I didn't really want the team to know that I was, seeing something else, because those are the people, that I've been doing all this work for, is these kids who are working really hard. And I didn't want them to know unless I was delivering the news that I was changing. So I was stressed out about because that was one of my fears, was a big resume is going to apply for this job and I'm going to get beat by a big resume. And so when I did get my opportunity to apply for the job, I hung my hat on the fact that I'm a loyal Ram. I know the coaches. I know the facility.
Got a lot of green.
Yeah, you know what I mean, and that I really, I wanted this to be my last job, and I thought that was going to be something that, in my experience at Rio Rancho, they really honor loyalty. People who have been there a long time get their shot, and I appreciated that, and so I was the next one up. I'm very happy with that.
That was probably
one, the success of Rio Rancho is because of loyalty, and also you already mentioned Bruce Carver's name
come up many times, but
Sue
Cleveland, they strive for student athletes to play sports.
Yeah,
and they take a lot of pride in that.
Yeah, and if you look at some of the people that have come before me, Vince Metzger, Larry Chavez, you look at our 2 new football coaches in Rio Rancho, Garza and Pino. All of these people, have been there a long time. And anytime you have an opening in Rio Rancho, of course, it's going to get the attention of the state and even our football jobs beyond the state. And so I'm just really grateful for our administration, top to bottom. That takes care of people who are worthy and who have put in some time.
Back to. My brain is processing. But back to when you're getting hired. Okay, so was there a final 2 or a final 3, or was did you tell me, were you waiting for a phone call? Was it an email, or were you going into a meeting?
It was quick. It was quick. Very similar to when I got hired as a coach. It was one interview. It wasn't 2 interviews. It was just one. They, at the interview, which is pretty common at Rio Rancho, they'll tell you they're going to call you that day. And
seriously?
Yeah. So it's pretty quick. So you have the build up to it, and so the build up to it for me, which was pretty stressful. We had gone to Clovis on a Friday, and the interview was on a Monday. So we got the Clovis Wildcat relays, and that's a tough trip from Rio Rancho. Come back, you're tired. Finalize, get everything ready on Saturday and Sunday for the interview, and then the interview was Monday, and so there was that stressful build up, but it was quick. I got known. Bruce called me that day.
So when you answer the phone, what were you like? Because I'm sure he called you on your cell or something. You're like, "This is Bruce Carver." What was going through your mind before when you answered that phone?
Oh, and I was Bruce. I knew it was when I saw Bruce's name on it. I knew what it was about. And then when I heard his voice and the way he was talking, I knew it was good news. He didn't have to tell me. Being the way Bruce is, you can hear when he's going to give good news.
I was curious how he set that up. Was it like, is this the real job that you really want? Because you got it.
So now Bruce and I had talked a lot about, we had talked for, God, it must have been a month leading up to it. And so he knew, because before I even applied, Bruce had several conversations with me. He wanted to make sure this is what I wanted to do. He wanted to make sure that, I wasn't going to, if I do get the job, that it wasn't going to be like a month later I regret seeing my team run with another coach and come back. And so he knew this is what I wanted to do.
Well, Sal, we're going to take another break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about some new hires that you had to hire in your first couple months.
Yeah.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible.
Going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
For your business or your home, Valley Fence stands alone. We're number 1 in New Mexico for a reason. It's the best fence you can own. Proudly serving New Mexico for over 50 years. At Valley Fence, the difference is clear. No fence too big, too small, or difficult. We handle them all at Valley Fence Company. Dream style stucco. Stucco is the way to go. The Southwest tradition, beautiful and durable. The perfect combination. Your favorite color, your favorite texture. You're gonna love it when they put it all together. Through any weather, nothing looks better. From the smooth to the rough, they really know their stuff. Nobody does stucco like Dream style stucco.
For 50 years, Clark's Pet Emporium has been your pet's favorite stop. Fish, birds, cats, dogs, reptiles, and small animals. Clark's has built a tradition of friendly, knowledgeable service focused on affordable, quality pet care products and food. Locally owned and operated with 2 convenient locations for all your pet needs, including an extensive selection of gifts for both owners and pets. 11200 Manal Northeast or 4914 Lomas Northeast. Clark's Pet Emporium is celebrating 50 years. Thank you, Albuquerque, the pet supply superstore. ClarksPets.com.
Hey, welcome back to Steve Davis Show. We have Sal Gonzales, the new athletic director at Rio Rancho High School. And we just talked about getting off the phone with Bruce Carver. So what was your next step after that? I mean,
No, that's when it really became, something.
Reality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I knew that the next thing that I had to do was talk to the athletes, and so, I've always been, really close to all my athletes, and I've been the coach since 2008, and so there's a lot of people that I think kind of expected me to be the coach for almost forever, for a long period of time. And so the day that I found out, we had a JV track meet. We were hosting a JV track meet, so the whole track team was there, boys and girls. So right before the track meet, I just called them into a circle. I just explained, what I wanted to do. And one of the things that I told them was that, for all this time of being a teacher and a coach, that all my athletes and students, they got to graduate and move on to something else. And it's kind of tough to see them go. And this was kind of like my opportunity to graduate in a way and move on to a new challenge. And it was very emotional. There are some, just some athletes that, that are special, and they were, some young athletes that I was, looking forward to coach for the next 4 years. Some, and some juniors who are going to be seniors this year. And obviously a senior year for any athlete is going to be super special. And so, yeah, that was a pretty tough experience.
Well, but you got to control your destiny because you had to hire,
replace yourself. And,
Yes.
And
talk about that process.
So Probably.
No, right on. It puts you're on the hot seat right off the top. It's getting
Yeah,
hard,
and so it was obvious, that Vince had already announced his retirement, and so anything that was going to come up as far as hiring or anything that was going to be coming up next year, I was getting called in on it immediately, and so the first big or first stressful, or maybe not stressful, but it was exciting thing that happened, as far as being an athletic director, is that Jerry Pannoni decided that he was going to retire.
Kind of suddenly. I mean, kind of suddenly. So.
They decided that he was going to retire and he was going to return to Virginia, and Bruce Carver and Dr. Ryan Kettler, we immediately all got in a room, and it was pretty much decided that we were going to hire Nate Pino, and so that was a pretty easy decision. But it was Nate Pino and I have coached together since I got here in 2008, and so that was really fun to get to deliver that news to him, and of course he accepted.
Well deserving. I mean, I mean, you talk about him and what he's always been kind of the second guy in the deal, but behind the scenes, he's the main guy that made a lot of things happen.
But he first all-state athlete for Rio Rancho High School in football, first North-South athlete for Rio Rancho High School in football, and so to get to start when the school was in its infancy as an athlete, and then to coach. He went to college at UNM, and he started coaching freshman football and coached the javelin right off the bat. And so he's just been a part of Rio Rancho for so long, and like you said, very deserving, really intelligent. He's really, really intelligent, really hard worker, and so it was a no-brainer. Hiring my replacement was a little different story because
let me see my thoughts on this. So one you have the loyalty of, just like you just said, of all the parents and all the things, you built this program, and that's got to be hard just to give it to somebody else. I mean, I'm not give up. I'm just saying, it's got you really probably worked harder on making sure the right person got this job.
Well, it was just the track and cross country positions, and replacing those coaches was more difficult because we didn't have someone who was as established as Nate Pino to come in, and so it was going to be a different situation. So we ended up hiring 3 coaches because Nate Pino was our head girls track coach. And so as the head football coach, you're asking a lot for a head football coach to also be a head track coach. So he stepped down from that position. So we hired a girls track coach, we hired a boys track coach, and we hired a cross country coach. And one of the things that when I started asking people to apply, I was very transparent, and I told them about how much work it is coaching cross country and track at Rio Rancho High School, because it is different. It is demanding. We put on our own events. The Rio Rancho Jamboree cross country meet for since I got there had been the biggest cross country meet in the state, and it requires a lot of hours. And we host our own track meets, which is a little bit different from what goes on with APS. And so when we did get people and we started the conversation about applicants, it was pretty clear that we didn't really have anybody who wanted both jobs. They want to be the head track and head cross country.
Well, I tell you, if I'm the football coach, and you can blame this on Ben Smetzger, is starting the opening game with LaCuevas. It is at home, but I tell you what an opening for him.
Well, so
because of the expectations of Rio Rancho football.
When you become a coach at any Rio Rancho school, your schedule is going to be tough. You know what I mean? And if your schedule isn't tough, then we need to ask why. If you're coming to coach at Rio Rancho High School, or you're coming to play at Rio Rancho High School, that you're going to play the best. And so, when we look for games, no one's questioning putting LaCueva on the schedule, putting anybody on the schedule. That's going to be tough. Obviously, we play in the toughest district in the state, so we automatically get tough games there. But Yeah, no, Nate Pino and our football team, they're
Truthfully,
up for
you
the
know,
channel. They're up for the challenge.
Nate, he like you said, he embraces this because he wants to know where his team is right away, and from it, win or lose, he's going to learn a lot from this game because and his guys got to be up for this game. So.
For a long period of time, and you can see, you go back and it was always, it's like kind of a misconception that you got to run through the schedule. Yes, you've seen some teams run through the schedule and win state titles, but there's enough instances that going through a tough schedule, putting your team through trials and tribulations, and establishing some grit, a lot of times is more important than just running the table. And we'll see what happens. But we know we got a tough schedule. It's not just La Cueva. That opener is going to be fun. But we got a lot of games.
I look at it, and I was going to tell you that I don't know if it's going to be the first My 50 game, so it's going to be a statewide game, and we're excited about being out there and getting to put it up and showing the state. You can say that 1, 2, 3 is in any orders: Cleveland, La Cueva, and Rio Rancho, and it's a good test, and it's great for the whole state to see the talent in New Mexico.
Well, I know you're trying to be polite, but I hope you put Rio Rancho 3 because we want to be the underdog and come out and show everybody that the boys.
Well, that was a loaded question. I truthfully, but I think right now that's the order is Cleveland, La Cueva, Rio Rancho.
And our football team, we did graduate a lot of great athletes, obviously two that are going to play in Division I football right now. But I think the core of what, not just our football team, but all of our sports is that, the Rio kids, the kids that we have from Rio are going to be gritty. They're going to be tough, and they expect to win.
Well, I'll tell you, Sal, what's your statement you're going to make for yourself over the next until you retire?
So right now, I would say the most important thing for me at Rio Rancho High School is continuing our service to community service, to make sure that our athletes know that it's not just the 2 hours that they're at practice or when they're on the field, but that they got to be great athletes for the entire time that they are, and that character is important. Number 2 is that they support each other. We've got to do a better job of getting butts and seats and getting athletes at games. And then finally, number 3, just because of where I come from and my upbringing and what I've noticed is I want to try to find ways that disadvantaged kids can play sports, because it's not just Rio Rancho, it's all over the place. We're pricing kids out of sports, and that's not right.
Well, Sal, hey, thanks for coming on the Steve Davis Show.
Yeah, thank you.